And he believed in keeping small groups of blacks alive in certain areas of Africa, kind of as a zoo, would keep alive elephants or something. As a laboratory example, he believed that they would let the Japanese dominate and cull the Asian populations. They were going to take over all of Russia and Central Asia and exterminate everyone who didn't pass muster. Same thing with most of the Latin American nations. And this is what they believed in. Now, when you see things like carbon taxes proposed in the 60s, this comes right out of Club of Rome, right out of Bilderberg Group. Prince Philip and Prince Bernhard, both Nazis on record. In fact, Prince Philip, we forget about the consort, the Duke of Edinburgh, to the Queen of England. He was a Nazi. His sisters all married Nazis. They're all Nazis. They're all Nazis. And you can say what you want about who runs the world and what the system is. The facts are the facts. And they are carrying out eugenics. And Endgame, I think, gives you the best picture to understand that overall. But in closing, Paul Watson, they're going forward with their world government plan. And I just hope that the white supremacists understand out there that this eugenics model out there is for them as well. The elites are going after whoever they think actually has genetics that they don't control, that, quote, threatens them. They want to kill the, quote, subhumans and the, quote, middle class, that they see of genetics that might challenge them. And I hope people realize that. I mean, no matter who you are, 99% of us are in deep trouble under this system. So we better all come together against the New World Order. And then whatever policy the New World Order's got, we should be against that policy. Paul Watson.
Right. I also find it interesting to know from what you were just talking about that Valerie Giscard d'Estaing, the top Bilderberg member who founded the precursor for the EU with top Nazis, married his cousin. So they all like to keep it in the family, don't they? They're really into that. But what I would say about the European Union is that from its ideology in the 40s, from its Nazi ideology to its empowerment in the decade later, now the agenda's so advanced that the manifestations of its power cannot be hidden anymore, which is why people like Giscard d'Estaing said regarding the Lisbon Treaty, quote, public opinion will be led to adopt, without knowing it, the proposals we dare not present to them directly. Imagine that. So he's saying that basically if we knew what it was really about, we'd never go for it. So it's, but now it's coming out, the free speech issue with the EU. I mean, the Nazis just killed people who spoke out against them, but the EU's found a more successful method, which is just kill their free speech instead. There's actually a European Court of Justice case which establishes the pretext that it's an illegal act to criticize the EU. And in fact, the EU has banned...
that's too important. Stay there. Let's come back to 5 more minutes, and I promise I'm going to get to one final round of calls from Randy, Ryan, Robert, Randy. Man, I tell you, it's all our callers today. and then I'm going to get into all this other free speech attacks. And I'll try to go to the beach. It was Big Brother like you've never seen. I'll show you those photos. Wow, we are already into the final hour. As I make my return to the airwaves this 11th day of May 2009. Big news blitz coming up. Finishing up with Paul Watson. Paul Watson, you were getting into, the European Union's been firing ministers and members of the British government get fired if they criticize the EU. And now I've seen mainstream news articles where people are arrested because they use the word homosexual. That's a hate crime now because it hurts people's feelings. If something hurts someone's feelings, even if it's a scientific term, you said the word bluebird. That hurts my feelings. You're under arrest. They've now proposed a bill. It's getting a lot of co-sponsors here in the United States doing the same thing. That's coming up. But you were talking about the European Union. This is all happening. And now in London, I was reading that every day people are getting stopped and questioned. It's happened to me. It's happened to your brother. She's announcing, your Home Secretary, that there's basically no free speech in England. I mean, this is getting crazy. I mean, they're really doing this.
Well, the controversy regarding Michael Savage, what was not mentioned in that whole controversy was the fact that he was banned from entering Britain based on an EU law that frames it that, you know, political opinions that could be deemed offensive are illegal, because it was under the same laws that a Dutch politician who called the Quran fascist, I believe, he was barred from entering Britain as well, and that's all done under EU laws.
Yeah, I forgot that, Paul. You got to get a blurb up. That's huge news. Nobody has pointed that out but you.
So, from what I was saying before, the manifestations of the EU's power are now so advanced that they're obviously totalitarian. I mean, you've got I posted pictures on PrisonPlanet.com where the international EU police, because the EU's now got its own international political police force, is firing tear gas at Serbians who are protesting infringements against their sovereignty on behalf of the UN-created globalist client state Kosovo. And
it also came out in mainstream news just today, it's up on PrisonPlanet.com, that they are doing all sorts of other restrictions on free speech all over Europe right now, and the police got caught, as we said, it was clear from watching the video, posing as protesters, attacking other people for news cameras, and then showing IDs and slipping back into police lines.
Yeah, which happens at every major global summit now. With the free speech, the EU's also attempted to basically ban the internet. They called it a dangerous and unregulated blogosphere. And I make all these points, and I try to make it relevant to people in America, because this is exactly what they're planning with the North American Union. It's going to be set up along it is being set up along the exact same lines. And you're going to see, instead of European international police, North American Union international police.
They're already issuing a North American Union ID card with TV ads for the new ID card, Paul. And they're saying they've got to restrict free speech off Mexican laws and through treaties, the Second Amendment, to unify the laws. And they've introduced the treaty that, in the words of CNN, they even admit will end the Second Amendment. That's what I mean, Paul. It's all happening right now. It's actually happening.
It's happening, and it's a very short leap from international EU police to North American Union international police. It's just a matter of wearing a different badge. And they're in Serbia right now, subduing Serbians who are angry about their sovereignty being taken. So, you know, that's what they're planning for America when they try to amalgamate the US, Canada, and Mexico. And the agreements have already been signed whereby they can use troops in each of those countries. I mean, that's...
And make no mistake, the big foundations have been caught admitting they plan race war in the Southwest. They plan to get us all killing each other. We do not want that, ladies and gentlemen. Paul Watson, unbelievable hour-long report. Thank you for spending time with us today. We'll keep watching PrisonPlanet.com for all the great work you and your brother, Steve Watson, are doing from the UK.
Okay, thanks, Alex.
Thank you. From Airstrip 1, there goes Paul Watson, where the secret police are on the streets and questioning him and his brother and others. I tell you, the time is very, very late. All right, your phone call straight ahead and a ton of news, as I promised. Coming up at the bottom of the hour, I'll spend about 2 or 3 minutes showing you some vacation photos. Last year, I tried to go down to where we go when I was a kid, to Bolivar, down by Galveston, and they searched us every time we took the ferry over. And this time I thought, well, I'll just go down to Port Aransas and then go over to the National Seashore and drive through there. And, I mean, literally, it was like Big Brother on steroids. We'll just wait till you see the photos. So that is coming up for the PrisonPlanet.tv viewers. We'll obviously be narrating and talking about and describing the photos for radio listeners out there. Speaking of PrisonPlanet.tv, we are being censored all over YouTube. David put up a little backup channel, and they suspended that and shut that down. and just said, no copyright infringement, you just can't have a site. So there's some other channels that other people run, and it looks like they're shutting those down. It looks like Alex Jones is not allowed on YouTube. So banned here in the United States. The establishment's figured out that we're having a big effect on them, and so now I'm taboo. I am the big, nasty, evil creature that people can't be allowed to hear, because I'll actually read government documents about how eugenicist Nazis actually run the world government, and they're poisoning you and your family. So that is coming up. You know, I'm getting that weird cell phone interference. You know when you have a cell phone by electrical equipment? How it will, I see somebody's charging a cell phone on top of the board out there. Maybe that little devil is on doing that. You know, cell phones got to be good for your brains. Forget all the thousands of studies admitting it's causing brain tumors. The little microwave units. It's got to be good if you put it in your electrical equipment and it messes it up. You know, come on. It's good for you.